Abrams' goal was to create a movie for anyone willing to spend 2 hours being transported to another time and place.
I hope you know what you're doing.
Star Trek is us. Star Trek is, our future. And certainly it's a fantasy.
What is the current star date?
Star date 223304. Where are you from?
But it's a vision of, a future that posits that we survive, that we thrive working together, that there's incredible, cultural diversity, and that we're working with other species. Our missions involve discovery, of worlds and exploration of worlds, not the conquering and, owning of worlds. The idea of it, when you relate to characters, to me, sending them on a crazy adventure, that's my favorite story. Characters you love in insane situations.
So, having met the crew and heard the mantra behind the movie, join us after the break. When coming up in part 2, Chris Pine reveals where these young cadets learn their space skills.
Starfleet, I guess, would be like the Top Gun of the future.
And Zoe Saldana waxes lyrical about the man in charge.
He knows exactly what to do and how to do it, and that's why you just follow it, because he's so cool.
Welcome back to part 2 of making the movie Star Trek. Coming up, Zach Quinto boldly goes where he has to in order to become Spock.
I had to shave and tweeze and pluck and wax, and then had to have this, horrifying bowl haircut for 6 months.
J.J. Abrams teases us with talk of a sequel.
If we are lucky enough that the movie is embraced, seeing these characters live on, played by these actors, would be a thrill, and obviously I would, desperately want to be involved.
And the cast wax lyrical about the man in charge.
He knows exactly what to do and how to do it, and that's why you just follow it, because he's so cool.
But first, having been introduced to the hot new crew of the Enterprise in part 1, let's find out just where these young cadets learn their space skills.
Starfleet, I guess, would be like the Top Gun of the future. It's the brightest minds that protect the Federation and explore, brave new worlds kind of thing. I mean, essentially that's my understanding of it. I could be completely wrong if that might offend some Trekkies out there.
Thematically, it's really about being called to something in yourself and being called to something as a crew, and defining what it is that you are fighting for or against, as it were.
In this adventure, Abrams wipes the slate clean of previous Trek incarnations, yet respectively doffs his cap to the legacy of the property.
The approach of this movie was to take the story, the characters, the production design, the wardrobe, the prop design, everything, and use the inspiration that came from the original material and apply it to, whatever would be relevant and vital now.
How did you manage to beam aboard this ship?
Hey, you're the genius, you figure it out.
As acting captain of this vessel, I order you to answer the question.
Well, I'm not telling, acting captain.
So the question was, how do you take these characters that are literally called Kirk and Spock? How do you take the guy with the pointy ears, the blue shirts, the yellow shirts? How do you take, the communicators and the spaceship and all the stuff that you go, oh yeah, Star Trek, and validate it? And that was really the goal of this movie, was not to make it cool necessarily, but to make it feel true and real.
Recreating space on a mythic scale, the action barely lets up. With stunning set pieces and seamless special effects, which are sure to wow today's seen-it-all-before audiences.
Emergency evasive! Fire everything!
Me, Zach, and John had about a month and a half working essentially side by side with these stunt coordinators. So about 3 hours a day we'd go in and just hit bags and learn the choreography for our various assorted fight scenes and stuff. So we got to know each other pretty well. You can try to manufacture chemistry on set, which people do all the time. But we didn't really have to manufacture anything because we authentically, it was like a fraternity with one lone female, the woman on set, Zoe, who's that poor girl had to put up with us, but she was great.
I wasn't that much involved in the action sequences, but trust me, I didn't want to be skydiving from space. I let the boys do their job.
We trained in the various martial arts that were appropriate for each character, and that was kind of cool too, because Zach's training was tailored to his character, and Chris's to his, and mine to my character.
So what kind of combat training do you have?
Fencing. It ended up feeling like we graduated from Starfleet Academy. We, getting a common experience under our belts, and I think it also paid off in terms of, in the acting, and it also paid off in the stunt work, because we tried to do as much as we could, and I think JJ got great coverage out of it.
Whilst the action proved to be the toughest test for some, perhaps the biggest physical transformation was that undertaken by Zach, who had to embody every facet of his character's unique look.
One of the things that I never really anticipated was how much I would be alienated from myself through the process of physical alteration. I had to shave and tweeze and pluck and wax and, deal with my eyebrows, which are a significant part of my face. I lost about 3/4 of them, and then had to have this, horrifying bowl haircut for 6 months. And, it really did affect me in ways that I didn't anticipate, but I think ultimately brought me around to a deeper understanding of the character, who grapples with this same kind of alienation all the time in his own life. So it had a really profound parallel for me in that regard.
With Quinto and Pine particularly impressive in their star-making turns, the whole of the cast were full of praise for how their director injected a gigantic dose of energy and expertise in bringing this story to the screen.
JJ, I have to say that besides being an amazing creator, like amazing filmmaker, he knows exactly what to do and how to do it, and that's why you just follow it, because he's so cool.
JJ is awesome. I feel weird when I talk about him, because it's like, it almost feels disingenuous, because I use such superlative words, like he's a wizard and a magician. I still find it hard to comprehend how someone can be so successful and talented and accomplished, and yet so tremendously down to earth.
JJ's genius is being able to marry huge set pieces, huge action sequences with great relationships, because without that, you can't sell any of the $50 million explosions, because no one's going to care about people. And I think that's what JJ brings to this story so well.
JJ is excellent at having multiple threads going on in any given scene, multiple emotional narratives going through each scene, and it's good he found directing, because he's very good at it.
So, going boldly where many have gone before, but creating a new mythology complete with pin-up stars, melodrama,
I hope you know what you're doing.
and humor.
It's exciting.
This rebooted Star Trek is destined to be one of summer's biggest hits, and could pave the way for a brand new series of films for years to come.
If we are lucky enough that the movie is embraced, seeing these characters live on, played by these actors, would be a thrill, and obviously I would, desperately want to be involved with that movie.
I just can't wait to see how people react to it, because it's really funny when you're a part of something that has so much expectation attached to it, and this movie was made, for the diehard fans, just as it was made for people that have never seen Trek before, and I feel like you get to know these characters on a whole new level. And if you've known them for 40 years and you've been fans of them for 40 years, then getting to know them in this way is only going to enhance your appreciation of them. And if you've never known them before, they're pretty incredible characters.
I've been hearing a lot that a lot of guys say that their girlfriends are not going to be able to go with them because they're not going to want to see it, and just so they know, like, all the guys are shirtless on the Enterprise, and they have hot muscles.
It's a 2-hour popcorn movie. I don't know who would not want to come see this movie. There are a lot of big action-adventure comic book movies out there that are dark and kind of edgy and violent and really kind of look at it at the darker side of humanity. And this is not it. This is fun entertainment that'll knock your socks off.
My feeling is this, is that if people like the movie and it works, it is literally because this cast was so good. You know, the writers did an outstanding job. I think that the visual effects literally just jaw-dropping. They did some amazing work. And it's just, you know, everyone who worked on that movie, I just think, is at the top of their game and, you know, really outdid themselves. And if people don't like it, it's completely my fault.